Welcome back. Welcome back. You are listening to Whissel Wednesdays here on AM 1170 The Answer. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with Whissel Realty, joined by Mr. Jason Hall, Team Home Loans, big Tesla fan.
And the bummer guy with the Chargers, man. You guys just, every time I'm thinking about this, I'm looking down, I'm just still getting
I've moved on, my friend. You're still dwelling.
Yeah, you're San Diego Raider guy already, man. This is crazy.
I'm actually getting some optimism here that we could get a good football team in San Diego. So I'm feeling optimistic.
Let's get back into some solar, talking to Greg here with Solar City. Greg actually was referred to us by one of our loan officers at Team Home Loans, Brian Scow. Brian recently last year actually did solar on his house. And Greg took great care of him, so he introduced him to the team at Team Home Loans, and we've sat down. And so far, Greg, I'm impressed. You know your stuff. You're not the shady sales guys that we've seen out there in the solar industry over the past year or two. And we're going to keep grilling you on information here.
Bring
and
it
truly
on.
finding, are you the right guy? We've been looking for a good solar person that we can refer clients to and truly trust. So if I'm out there listening to my car right now, why should I get solar?
Why should you get solar? The number one reason is it saves you money. That's actually a very common question I get from customers, that they say, I can't afford it. I can't afford solar, because historically you'd have to pay $30,000, $40,000 up front.
Right.
And you want to get your money back for 10, 20 years.
Right.
So that's where Solar City comes in with the financing, where you pay $0 up front and you just take out a loan for $30,000 or $40,000, whatever the cost of your system is. Those monthly payments are going to be less than what you were paying to SDG&E before. So that's your answer right there. Why should I go solar? Let's say you're paying $200 a month to SDG&E. You can take out a loan and pay on that loan that's going to be like $100 to $125 a month. So you're instantly saving $75 to $100 a month.
Okay, now let's talk about, if I put a solar system on my roof and I'm generating electricity that's going back into the grid.
Yep.
It's not stored for me, right? So still in the evening, I'm still going to be tapping on SDG&E to get my lights on and make sure my water's warm and different things that need to happen in the house. But I know there's still credits that, at least right now, SDG&E is offering solar owners. So when they put electricity back into the grid, they're giving you some type of credit. Not the credit they would charge you when you use it, but they are crediting back your bill, correct?
Well, you're about 90% correct there. So what that process is called is net energy metering. So when your system is middle of the daytime, it's 12 o'clock noon, the sun is high, and you're at work, you're not really using any electricity. All that excess electricity goes back into the grid. SDG&E buys that power from you. And it's essentially for every kilowatt hour that you produce, you get a 1 kilowatt hour credit. So it's 1 to 1. So at nighttime, when you come home, turn on your TV, your lights, all that, you're buying that power back. So it's kind of like the ebb and flow of those kilowatt hours. Right now, without solar, it's only going one way, and your meter's spinning forward. When you go solar, it spins backwards and forwards. And at the end of the year, SDG&E looks at that and they say, all right, you produced about the same that you consumed. At the end of the year, your meter reads about the same as it did in the beginning of the year. So they say, all right, you didn't use any net power, net energy metering. So all they do is they charge you the minimum fee, which right now is $10 a month, which you're getting charged anyways. So what you're doing is essentially replacing your point of purchase from SDG&E to Solar City.
All right. So Kyle, how's that worked out? I mean, you've been a homeowner now with solar on your roof for at least 3 years.
I've never paid electric bill other than the minimum charge.
Boom.
It's
so
beautiful.
You always generate more than you actually use.
Yes. We have the perfect south-facing roof to hit. It's beautiful. We got a big giant roof, and we got 21 sun power panels on the roof. It's an overpowered system for what we've got, and we love it. So I'm a huge solar fan as long as it's done right. We were talking at the break with Greg on financing. We touched on it before the break, but your financing, I've talked on the show about, I'm not the biggest fan of the Hero financing because the rate is super high. And the biggest thing is they slide these fees in there. So you talked a little bit about make sure to look at the APR, but if you're listening to the show, the reason he's telling you to look at the APR is some of these companies, and the Hero financing, which is more of a government program, not a individual company program, they backdoor thousands of dollars of fees. I've seen anywhere from $1,000 to like $3,000 in fees that they slide in the back door on you. We're talking about 10% of whatever you're paying for the system, they backdoor in fees into the system
that you think you don't pay,
really
and you still pay over the life of that loan.
Right. And they're usually charging around a 10% interest rate. So you're paying thousands of extra dollars in fees. 10% is a really high interest rate. I mean, if you own a home right now, unless you bought it in 05, 6, or 7, you probably got equity in it. You could give Jason Hall over at Team Home Loans a call. He could do a refi for you, and you could pull that money out of your house probably at 4 or 5%, and you could buy solar and have a 4 or 5% payment as opposed to a 10% payment and not have all those insane fees and save yourself a ton of money. So just keep that in mind. Be very, very careful when you're going out to do the solar. I mean, have somebody like Greg at Solar City talk to you about the system. They have all the options. If you want to connect with Greg, 619-663-SELL, 619-663-7355. We'll get you connected with Greg so he can really help you analyze those options. Can you talk a little bit more, Greg, about the power purchase agreement specifically? Because that's become an extremely popular option that kind of parallels the lease option out there.
Yeah, absolutely. What the power purchase agreement is, it's very similar to the lease in that we'll put the panels up for free. You don't own the panels. Solar City owns them. And all you do is pay for the power that it produces. So it's called a power purchase agreement. You're buying the power that it produces. Very similar to how you buy power from SDG&E. You pay for your consumption. When you do a power purchase agreement with Solar City, you pay for your production at a set cost per kilowatt hour. The advantage of that is there's no tiered system. If anybody has ever looked at their SDG&E bill, the more you use, the more it climbs those tiers, the more they pay. They charge you per kilowatt hour. With Solar City, it's fixed. So and that rate is oftentimes going to be cheaper than all of your power with SDG&E. So again, going back to the same principle, $0 down, you lower your monthly payments right away, and all you're doing is just buying cheaper energy from a clean, green energy company.
So if you're a homeowner, where's the sweet spot? Is it, if my gas and electric bill is $200 a month, I know most of the time all the solar guys go, I'd save anybody money.
Sure.
And I realize that's possible. But when's the sweet spot where it makes complete sense? It's crazy to keep paying SDG&E.
Sure. So I always like to touch on the fact everybody has different motivations to go solar. The number one reason is to save money, but there are a lot of people that do it just because they feel it's the right thing to do. I've helped people with as little as a $50 a month electric bill. They're oftentimes going to be paying about the same to Solar City that they were to SDG&E, but it's the right thing to do. Right now you're buying power from coal, nuclear, oil. There's a little bit of alternative energy in there, but most of it is environmentally polluting. So wouldn't you rather buy clean, green electricity for the same price? But always, if your bill is anywhere $50 a month or higher, that's where you should seriously consider solar.
All right, so $50, but there's no... Is that the sweet spot you're saying, $50? Because everybody's over $50, right? Unless you're like in a condo or an apartment. Is there any homeowner out there, unless they got, unless they're hardly ever home, when it's one person? I mean, I would be so excited if my bill was $50, Kyle and Greg. I'm just like, I'm looking at Brian over here.
It's normally $4.93. That's what mine normally is, everyone. At least the electric side, $4.93 a month.
Now, obviously, the higher you get above that $50, as Solar City remains flat and SDG&E escalates on their cost per kilowatt hour, your savings are going to be bigger and bigger.
So on the PPA, when they lock in their rate per kilowatt hour, what period of time is it locked in for?
So you're locking in a rate for 20 years. There's a couple ways to do it. You can do one that starts lower and goes up about 3% per year. Or you can do one that starts a little bit higher and stays fixed for the entire 20 years. And so what my job when I'm in the home with you, the customer, is to really go over which option is going to be the best for you, short-term and long-term.
So on an average deal, if somebody wants the fixed rate for the whole 20 years, what percentage, what are they paying on average per kilowatt hour with SDG&E versus with the PPA?
So right now, SDG&E has 3 tiers. Their summertime rates are 18, 21, and 40 cents. With right now with Solar City, it's 16.5 cents with a 2.9% escalator, and then I think it's about 21 cents with the flat rate that never changes.
So you could lock in 21.
You can lock in 21
life.
cents for life.
And I know what we've been seeing is that just like the water companies, everybody's done such a good job conserving water that the water company's like, crap, we don't have any money. We got to raise rates on everybody to compensate for the fact that people aren't using as much water. And it seems to me like SDG&E is doing the same thing. So many people are putting solar on their house that those that don't have it are getting difference. Screwed, and their rates are going up. So I don't think that's going to change at any point in the near future. So to be able to lock in a guaranteed 21 cents per kilowatt hour
fantastic
over
deal.
the long haul of 20 years. So there's no money up front. You're locking in. It's a fixed amount for 20 years of how much you're going to pay per kilowatt hour. Like, that's just, it'd be stupid not to.
It'd be like,
well, if you sell the house, you don't have to pay this thing off in 20 years like we were talking about on a lease either, right?
Because with the PPA, so you talked about subordination and all that other stuff with some of the other options. How does a PPA work in the house sales?
Exact same. So what it is, it's a UC.
Exact same as which option?
Really with all options.
Okay.
So what you're going to look at is there's the lien on the system itself. So whether you PPA, lease, or finance, it all is going to transfer over to the new owner.
Okay.
If for any reason they don't want it, you have that moving option.
Okay.
So
there's no huge payoff fee like the lease options might have. Do you guys have a huge, like on your lease? Like, again, we've seen this happen, so that's why we're asking. So if somebody went lease with Solar City and signed 20 years, would that owner have to pay off that thing?
Well, that's like last case scenario. I mean, very rarely are you going to find that. But if that did happen, you'd have to pay it off.
That's why it's the least favorite from any real estate agent. So
100%. And then the last option is just outright buying solar.
Cash.
So, I mean, I have a 21 panel system on my roof. What would a 21 panel system typically cost, and how big of a home would that normally take care of?
So typically a 21 panel system is probably going to offset anywhere from probably a $200 bill, $200 to $250.
Okay.
It's probably going to cost you around 30 grand.
Around 30 grand.
City, just a rough idea.
Okay.
So obviously if you're taking a loan out on that, that's going to be less than $200 a month that you were paying to SDG&E. Whereas if you just paid cash, you're going to get a return on your investment in 10 to 15 years, and then you're free energy for life.
Awesome. So again, if you want to connect with Greg at Solar City, give us a call, shoot us a text, 619-663-SELL, 619-663-7355. We're going to head to a break, but when we get back, Jason, I want to dive in. Last week, we talked a lot about predictions for the lending market and what we see happening in 2016. I want to dive in a little deeper on the real estate side of things and talk about what we see happening in 2016 here in San Diego. You are listening to Whissel Wednesdays on AM 1170, The Answer.